ladies and gentlemen. We are going to kickstart the second part of the morning hub. And we have one panel and a speaking presentation. And we were scheduled to break for lunch at 12:30. We'll try and make that time. If I can ask the ushers outside to let the people know that we are starting. This part of the session will start with the panel discussion, the first panel of the morning. This is being hosted by Debu Mohanty. He's the CEO of Vivaki Vietnam, and he and his esteemed panelists are going to talk about mobile, the all-in-one medium, making sure they are able to help answer and discuss some challenges of mobile being the centerpiece of all business ecosystem. And Debu and his panelists will help address what really are the challenges of making mobile an integral part, not only of the marketing mix or the advertising, but of an ecosystem which is business by itself. Because every business, advertising, marketing, sales, all are part of a core business that every industry or every organization drives. So we will hear from the panelists on their thoughts of what the challenges are and what are the possible solutions. So with that, let me introduce Debu Mohanty, who will further introduce his panelists. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Before we break for lunch, the first panel discussion, I will call out the names of the panelists. The panel discussion will be on mobile, the all-in-one medium. And we have the first panelist, Chan Chui Chi, Vice President, Personal Care, Unilever, Vietnam. May I request Chi to come over? Andrea Santos, Top Account Director, Out There Media. Andrea. We have Chan Huan, Executive Vice Chairman, Vietnam Marketing Association. And Chan Nguyen Thinh Bung, Founder and Chairwoman, Sunflower Media Group. You know, there's a Chinese saying which goes that, which says, may we live in interesting times. This is one of the most interesting times in Vietnam media, and we are very happy to be part of it. The business leaders, the key marketers, they're all talking about now, new, and next media. We, possibly everyone here agrees that mobile is the next medium. But do we all agree that it's the all-in-one medium? I would first ask Hung for her views on this. The all-in-one medium, mobile. Hung, please.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for giving me the chance to be here and discuss with everybody and my view on mobile marketing and the role of mobile phone in our current society. Mobile phone is something like a new, it is a new scene in our society. I remember some 15 years ago, I had a huge Nokia, a brick, and whenever I went around, I had that big thing in my hand, and I was so proud to show off to everybody. And just 15 years, and now it's nothing special. Everybody has one. And we're talking about not only feature phone, but now smartphone, iPhone, Android, everything. It becomes a phenomenon in our society. And the figures say that 75% of people going out of home now with the mobile phone. Whenever we are awake, we are with our mobile phone. So how our marketers use that? We all say that in every conference, we say that we need to use the mobile phone, we need to focus on it. But how have we done that? I think that we talk a lot, but we haven't done that. Because we, for example, we are in the media. We publish magazines, we are famous for Tiếp Thị Gia Đình and several other publications in the market. And we have experience in working with clients, with retailers, but we haven't seen much appearing on the mobile phone. Even we try to talk, but nobody really pay attention to that one yet. So I hope that in this discussion, we can discuss about the importance of mobile phone nowadays.
Actually, do we actually see mobile as the all-in-one medium?
Yeah, thank you, Debu, for the question. I would say, like I shared earlier this morning, mobile adaptation has been faster, 3 times faster than the desktop application adoption. So definitely mobile will be a very important medium. I would not say all-in-one, because there's nothing in this world can survive alone. So I would say it could be becoming, in the past we always have ideas started with traditional media, and then mobile is like a following and nice to have. But more and more as we see mobile becoming so fast, adaptation, mobile could become the lead medium as well. So it changed. The past, traditional, then digital, then mobile. We can actually have a mobile-driven idea. And in fact, the case study that I shared with you this morning, the Clear Micro Vietnam, that idea was actually started from a mobile-driven idea. We actually started with the mobile apps. And then we're using other channels on how we can put together, becoming a powerful platform. So that's how I see it. Thanks.
Thanks, Chi. I would request Mr. Hoang to also give his views. Mr. Hoang will be speaking in Vietnamese.
So, good morning everybody. Permit me to speak in Vietnamese. Regarding our topics, mobile, the all-in-one, tôi xin phép mình nhìn góc độ là nhà tiếp thị và các cái business owner để xem trong cái thế giới phức tạp này thì các doanh nghiệp, đặc biệt là doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ Việt Nam, chúng ta sẽ xây dựng cái hạ tầng tiếp thị trong một cái kỷ nguyên số và mobile như vậy. Cho nên cái vế đầu tiên, cái từ mobile thì tôi xin tiếp cái ý chị Tuệ Tri sáng nay. Chính xác nó sẽ làm smart mobility, tức là toàn bộ cái hệ thống về truyền thông tiếp thị của các doanh nghiệp sẽ phải hướng theo này. Và người ta đang đầu tư rất nhiều về trí tuệ và công nghệ cho nó. Cái vế thứ hai là the all-in-one medium, thì theo tôi nghĩ là nếu mình nói all thì doanh nghiệp người ta sẽ không biết bắt đầu từ đâu, bắt đầu như thế nào. Thì tôi thấy nó có 4 cái chữ C để nó hội tụ gọi là conversion 4.0. Thì cái chữ C thứ nhất là content, nói gì thì nói, chúng ta phải có cái nội dung hay, hấp dẫn, thú vị, hứa hẹn. Cái chữ C thứ hai nó là cái connection và nó là cái search, thì các doanh nghiệp của mình đã chuẩn bị cái này như thế nào. Thứ ba là cái communication, là tất cả những kênh truyền thông, trong đó social media đứng cái vị trí trung tâm. Thì còn cái thứ tư quan trọng nhất mà bên anh Viettel có đề cập là cuối cùng là mình phải bán hàng. Cái commercial đó thì hiện nay chúng ta nhìn thấy vào hệ thống doanh nghiệp Việt Nam thì rất đáng lo ngại. Lý do chúng ta đề cập đến cái chuyện này là bởi vì cách đây 2 tuần báo Kinh tế công bố như vậy là có 230.000 doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ Việt Nam đang báo lỗ về thuế, và có khoảng 54.000 doanh nghiệp nữa phá sản đóng cửa. Vậy thì những cái chúng ta đang xem ngày hôm nay tôi thấy nó là đỉnh cao. Thứ hai là cộng đồng chuyên gia marketing hầu như là hội tụ nơi đây, nhưng còn một khoảng cách quá lớn đối với cộng đồng doanh nghiệp vừa và nhỏ. Làm thế nào để định hình được cái chiến lược để xây dựng được cái hạ tầng để truyền thông tiếp thị cho doanh nghiệp thì cũng là cái vấn đề mà chúng ta đang đặt ra ngày hôm nay. Các marketer, các business owner sẽ giải quyết cái vấn đề này như thế nào?
Andrea.
Save the best for last, they say. Just kidding. Well, my answer to that, essentially, I feel is a yes and no answer. Yes, meaning mobile can solve various communication needs across the consumer funnel. You know, like from the involved stage, from the act stage, from the all throughout. The fact of the matter is, although I feel that mobile can solve various scenarios across the purchase decision funnel, it shouldn't act in isolation, to your point. I just feel that this whole buzzword omnichannel, of which people say nowadays, talking about the universal and constant interaction with the consumer makes things work. I feel that the mix of all of those, the right choice of the right channels, and having mobile front and center when it comes to answering a particular brand objective should always be taken into consideration. It shouldn't be a bold statement saying that mobile is the all-in-one medium. It should always be taken into consideration as a fact of it is integral to the consumer purchase decision funnel, and it should be taken as such.
Okay, I see all the panels basically accepting here that TV still is the lead medium and remains the lead medium so far. I understand that. But one important thing which she also mentioned, it does have the potential to be the lead medium. And as I hear from Andrea also, it is important to see that mobile is not used as a standalone. It needs to be supported well when we are putting together a communication plan. The next important thing which everybody would like to understand is today, what is the industry or the marketers or the business owners, when we see that it's a data-driven industry, are actually looking for from mobile as a data point in order to adapt or adopt mobile as the next advertising medium.
Very good questions.
Thanks.
I don't think I have an answer for that, but I just share my thoughts. I mean, mobile marketing industry is very recent. Yeah? I mean, and this is something that we have to do and learn and adopt, and a lot of, passion and belief has to go into it. But what I believe, one of the things that we struggle the most as a marketeers is why we are embracing the new thing. How do we know that it is effective enough? And right now, you would agree with me that the information and the data about mobile is so many, right? It's so many all over. We look at, even when I ask my team, what is a KPI for your mobile marketing campaign? We will have so many KPIs. Click rates, so many things. But the standard one that we used to familiar with, which is so many years with traditional media, for example, TV, CPRP, is something that we're very familiar with. I think we're not able to create something that is well accepted across the industry, with everyone a common language. We don't have that yet with mobile marketing. So I believe we have to, and the whole industry, all the different players, partners, suppliers, clients, everything, should invest in the way we look at mobile marketing, the KPIs, the technology, so that we have a common way to look at that. So that's how I would say. That I think is the most struggle we as a marketing.
Andrea.
Very good question, and a little bit hard to answer, but I will give it a try. I just feel that effectiveness of mobile, again, yes, it should really stem from the industry. Conventions need to be set. Just a quick example, we had a brief recently, and I just won't name the agency anymore, but they were asking us questions like publication deadline, delivery date. It's very, how do I say, it's very BTL, very print in terms of objectives and setting. The thrust really should come from the industry, the belief, and that strong push on education. Education is always key. So also in terms of convention setting, it also depends on the brand objective, where you are in that purchase funnel. I keep on always mentioning that. KPIs should always stick to what it is. It's a key performance indicator. Anything under that is a metric. So we should set one, for example, across the funnel, there should be a particular KPI set across that, and a particular secondary metric or metrics corresponding that particular purchase decision funnel correspondence.
Mr. Huan.
Về câu hỏi này thì tôi có một cái cảm nhận rất là mộc theo góc nhìn của doanh nghiệp, là trong cái thế dung thông tin rất đầy ắp như vậy thì cái mà chúng tôi thường xem và thường dành nó cái vị trí đặc biệt trong thời gian gần đây là cái khảo sát về cơ thể học 3D, một cái dự án rất là hay cho phép chúng ta xem được tất cả mọi bộ phận của con người. Thì tôi nghĩ đây là một trong những cái định hướng thông tin tuyệt vời, và nó có thể đi vào hàng chục nghìn các cái trường học hệ thống giáo dục. Theo tôi quan niệm, trong cái thế giới thông tin phức tạp như vậy thì đó là những cái content có sức hút rất là lớn lao, hoặc là một cái dự án mà Viettel đã triển khai cho khoảng hơn 5.000 cái trường học về cái phần mềm và quản trị. Thì theo tôi đó là những cái content là giá trị về mặt chiến lược để các doanh nghiệp có thể suy nghĩ về cách tiếp cận.
Normally, my favorite saying is, I'm not working in the media, I'm working in the information industry. For years, we've been used to working with information, so now data is nothing new for us. But data nowadays is so different from the old time. It's huge. It's so huge that it's so difficult to organize them. And if we don't organize data, then data is just data. It has no value. And now we are talking about mobile phone, and the mobile phone gives us the opportunity to get more data than ever. We know the people's name, the people's age, their habit, the location, what they like, what they don't like. And how can we organize data into something that we can use it? It's not easy. Very easy to say, oh, big data, huge data. Now this is a trend to say big data. But what do we use with big data? It can be very costly. And if we want to use data, we must make sure that we invest a lot into that to be able to exploit this data to make it useful for us.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Hung. One of the key points which I just noted, as a moderator, I have my views as well, is one, purchase decision. It's important to understand the purchase decision of a consumer, and we know how to use the media to reach them. The other one is about data. When we are saying data, data is just data. It's important to understand what is the data required in order to make the consumer take an action. It's so important that first we understand from the advertiser's point of view, who's trying to reach that consumer, to understand that what is the action they expect from the consumer. If that action is understood well, then it is the next step. As a next step, it is important for us to understand that which is the medium which can help the marketer to generate that response from the consumer. So that data understanding is more important and more relevant for the advertiser, because advertiser is putting in money, and end of the day they will all look for return on investment. And if we know that mobile is a very personalized medium and can basically help the consumer to take that desired response which the marketer has, it is important to understand that what is the end result the marketer is expecting from the consumer. I will go to the next question, which I think many people are also interested in. Kantar Media pointed out that the top demos using mobile are in between 20 to 29. How do you think the other demos will receive this medium in the future? G, would you like to take that?
Yeah. So the question is, how do we see the other demographics beyond the 20 and 29? See this, right? Okay, that will bring me into this thinking of innovation diffusion. Innovation diffusion means we always have the innovators, the early adopters, the majority, and the laggers. Yes, the 20 to 29 years old people will be the innovators and the early adopters for this mobile marketing. But it will not stop there. They will be creating the whole trend, the whole adaptation across the demographics. Of course, for different ages, you will see a different adaptation rate and engagement. Actually, I have seen that, my mom, who's actually already, crossing 60s, she is now spending more of her time in her tablet.
She's inspired by the daughter as well.
I know, maybe think about it, she is finding this is actually a great time for her. So what I'm saying is, we definitely see this transition across the demographics, but important for us is to understand their needs, their lifestyle, and then how we can engage with them. So it's not stopped at the 20 or 21 years old.
So it depends on how we engage with the consumer and are also growing up with them. Paul, I would like to have your response as well.
Yesterday, I had the chance to be with Mr. Thành to attend the 4th Global CEO Conference in Singapore. And I had the chance to listen to David Wai, the co-founder of Alibaba. And one sentence he said, which I like very much. He talked about the scenery in China, and I think it's very close to Vietnam. He said the internet generation started only in the year 2000. Before that, there was no real internet. And so all the children born after 1985 are the generation for internet and of course for phones. So that's why it's easy to see why Qantas media see the majority of mobile phone users to be between the age of 20 and 29. This generation is very different from the people born before 1985, where people were still used to television and print and other form of media. But now, look at the young kids. We see that they go around with their phone. Before they make any decision of purchase, they ask their friends. They go onto internet to check out the price, the information, ask around their friends. Mostly their friends, they don't listen to adults. They don't listen to the mass media as before. But they ask their friends. And if their friends say, oh, that's a great product, I like it, then they decide to buy. And if they say, oh, that's not good, and even they don't base on any figures, any data, they say, oh, my friend say it's not good, so it's not good, and they don't buy. So that's why it's so important for us to tap onto this market, how to persuade the young generation to believe in our brands, to, of course, and from the trust in the brand, it leads to commerce, it leads to final results. And that's the job of the marketers.
Mr. Wang, ladies first.
Well, I just feel that age is just a number. Age, although year on year we evaluate adaptations or adoptions of particular media, for now the younger age group is picking up in terms of the mobile adoption. However, as the middle class constantly grows, economies constantly boom, infrastructure is slowly built, especially in the telco industry, the older age groups, and even in some matters the younger age groups, not even the tweens, the kids nowadays, adoption of technology is just so prevalent. So the task nowadays, right now, is really how do you harness that? How do you constantly grow that adoption? And essentially sort of cross that trigger to encourage all of this growing age group to constantly educate and encourage regardless of the age group's usage of this. But again, beyond the adaptation, which is controlled by that age group, it's also the market scenario, the adaptability and the willingness for people and the government and the private sector to invest in this, to encourage people to use this particular medium.
Thanks, Andrea. Mr. Joy. You don't want to have your views on that. No, I will go to the another overwhelming, the popular question, which is for Unilever, which is again the leading advertiser in this market. What is Unilever's strategy for mobile advertising in the future? I don't want you to reveal your spends. That's fine. That's not required. But how much? What is the expectation? What is your expectation for 2015? How are you going to basically see mobile in your strategy?
I think if you attend my first talk, I think you understand where we are. So definitely mobile marketing is very important and is integrated in our strategy. We always want to be the pioneer and the responsible mobile marketing advertising. So we will explore, we'll do, but we also together join with all the key stakeholders to build this mobile marketing industry. So yes, it's important. How much we spend, maybe I'm not able to tell you how much we spend, but I just tell you that it's increasing a lot, right? So that is enough. But it's important, we investing in it, and that's why we actually here today. And like this morning I talked about, we're looking at mobile phone not just as a device, but we're moving to mobility, to mobilization. So that is where we're heading. I hope that answers your questions.
In the interest of time, I will now actually ask one quick question home. What would you suggest or have some immediate suggestion for the industry to help bring about a rapid transformation? Couple of thoughts.
As we said, the young people are the main user of mobile phones. So when we tap into mobile phone marketing, mobile marketing, we have to understand what they want. And from the media, what we observed recently, we see that the people don't want to read much anymore. Maybe not only the young people, but also all of us. Nowadays, we are overloaded with information, so we don't want to read. The text culture has passed. Now it comes to the next, the culture of visual, of pictures. Until now, we still see advertisers coming up with the kind of traditional advertising campaign, like one for everything. And we have that problem all the time. We try to persuade the advertiser, please don't. For each platform, you need to have a different form of marketing, of advertising. 30 seconds of advertising on television stays there. Now onto online, you need 5 seconds video. You cannot go for more than 10 seconds because people don't pay attention to it anymore. But then we still receive TVC for 30 seconds for online advertising. And then what else? Now come into mobile phone. We said visual, visual, visual. Please, no text. Very short. Recently, you see the success of a website called HiVL, the famous case that recently the license was revoked. But why were they so successful? Everything was picture. And then just some very short text, some conversation, and that's it. That's what the young people like nowadays. And so if we want to get close to the young consumers, we have to do the same, sing their language. Don't force them to read. And we can also see that visual culture everywhere with selfie. Now we all talk about selfie. All the young people go around and then they have the mobile phone, and now they even have the stick for selfie, make nicer photos. So how can you exploit that? And so we just suggest one thing, there is no more all-in-one marketing form. You have to, if we want to achieve the same result, we have to work a lot, not like before. We have to give each platform a different thing.
In short, don't do mobile for the sake of doing mobile. Please understand the consumer, please see what they are wanting to do, and then basically weave around an activity around the mobile platform. Andrea, quick views.
For mobile to be picked up and adapted much better, especially in Southeast Asia, particularly in Vietnam, is the fact that what we need to do is to have discussions like these. We have to have firm mobile mavens who can constantly talk about the medium and explain it with gravitas and clarity. That's one bit. Another bit is essentially testing and learning. Unilever is quite successful across various regions. It's all about repeatable models, not necessarily repeating it to the T, but learning from what the best experiences were across that digital mobile experience and applying it into the region, but first and foremost understanding how the consumers behave in that market, what are their hot buttons, what are their consumer paths in a day-to-day. By understanding, again, what was done in other markets and understanding the nuances in the local region, I feel would make the adaptability of mobile in general easy and seamless.
Thank you so much. Thank you all, Mr. Hoang, Hong, Andrea, and Treat for this lively discussion. Over to you, Rohit, now.
So that was insightful. The gravitas to make mobile the centerpiece of all discussion. I do agree with Andrea's last parting comments. It's test, trial, and test and trial. Because it is a new medium, as an earlier speaker said, Tree said, it's only 4 to 5 years old as a medium. And we are comparing this, and we are talking of this medium in context of TV, which is about 60 years old, print, more than 100 years old. So it's a very young medium. We have to learn to adapt to this. The expectation from the industry is very high. And the expectation stems from the fact that there is potential. Expectations only happen with people or with things when there is potential. People listen to numbers like 5 billion mobile users. Obviously, there's no other medium which has that kind of reach. TV, print, media, outdoor, all put together don't have a 5 billion people reach. And that is where you start to expect a lot more. You start to expect things to happen much faster. We heard Microsoft took 15 years to get to 95% penetration for Windows Mobile, Android took 5 years, and all these are evolutions that will happen. But they have to be mapped to the expectations. And then only, I think, it'll be fair for us to have mobile as the all-in-one medium. So if it is going to be the all-in-one medium, and we've spoken about apps and websites and everything that helps drive content and consumer engagement. Our next speaker, Steve Pardhu, Vice President and Managing Director of Tilium, is going to talk about how do you track these consumers? What do you do? So once you have those consumers with you, how do you track them? What do you do with them? How do you measure your response? How do you measure what is the interaction, engagement, and your response to the kind of behavior that they have. As I said in the morning, consumers are much ahead of all of us as in the room as an industry. As consumers, we are ahead of ourselves as an industry. And in order to meet that demand, we have to understand that. It's not big data. I personally don't like the word big data. I think it's data and that's it. It's personal, it's very specific. And if we need to start tracking it, we need to understand that. So with that, let me invite Steve to the stage to talk to us about what does it really mean.
Thank you. Hi everyone. I'm going to be a bit contrarian. I know I stand between you and lunch, but I'm going to challenge you for a few minutes. This is not necessarily just about mobile or mobile. This is about data. This is about data-driven marketing. This is about the challenge that we have in terms of really measuring what our visitors, what our customers are doing, whether they're on a mobile platform or whether they are working on our mobile web or our PC web. We've transitioned a lot of ground since 2000. We've seen a lot of maturity. We started out with WAP. We did a lot of things there, specialized browsers, and now if we look at Europe and the North American market, WAP has just pretty much gone out of existence. Other than in Japan, where it's still pretty popular on feature phones. So the question is, where are we going? And I feel like we're walking around in the, what shall I say, in the rainforest, underneath the canopy, and we're lost because we have a lot of things that we have to deal with. And it's not just about mobile, it's not just about the PC web and the mobile web, it's about the customer, it's about the visitor. And it comes down to data and understanding the data. It is big data. There's a lot of it out there. And each one of the interaction channels that we deal with creates a lot of information. So let's talk about around data for a minute. What are some of the strategic initiatives that brands and publishers across the globe here in Southeast Asia are really dealing with and looking at? So again, coming back to that data, and I'm going to focus on that every time I make a comment, more accurately targeting. You're all talking about advertising spend, acquisition, bringing customers to your website. Are they the right customers? Are you spending money when impressions take place the right way? Personalization, what are we doing in terms of personalizing the user experience? Are we taking time to understand what our visitors are doing? Are we retaining that information so that then we can use that information to make decisions on how to interact with them? And then this all-important concept of dealing with our visitor in the moment. And it's like going to the casino and gambling. As we're gambling at the table or we're playing cards in our home with our friends and putting some money on the table, we're in that moment. We're thinking about what we're doing. Same thing in a purchase decision. Same thing in a conversion decision of any type. We're doing it right now. We're thinking about it. So what are we doing to help people in real time make decisions? I'll show you a case study very quickly at the end that will drive this home a little bit and how in the moment and in the context makes a big difference. Data fragmentation is a huge issue today. Why do I think we're walking around under the canopy in the rainforest? Because we can't see the forest. Because we don't understand the collective about the data that we have about our visitors. We don't have that picture today. Most of us aren't doing anything to collect, retain, and utilize that data. Why? Because we don't have a data strategy that helps us decide what data to capture so that we can then make decisions on. Once we spend all this money in advertising to get visitors to come to our site, now how do we drive them to make decisions? And how do we keep driving them to come back and make those decisions over and over again? Digital marketing operations are getting more and more complex. The ecosystem of digital technology for driving digital marketing is becoming extremely complex. The merger of the CMO and the CIO and the CTO into the CDO, all these acronyms, Chief Digital Officer, these things are happening around the globe. Why are all of these things happening? Because we have to increase ROI. Competition is getting extremely steep in the marketplace. Guys, help me out here. Next slide, please. There we go. So when we look at these priorities, I want to give you a look back real quickly. These were the kinds of things that a little over a year ago, brands and publishers across the globe were saying were important. Look where mobile sits. 62% were saying mobile was extremely important, but it wasn't the only thing that was important. Right? Social marketing, other things, search engine marketing, SEO, SEM. There's a ton of different things we have to deal with. The agency world is dealing with this all day long, trying to service their clients on a very well-balanced manner. Not one thing alone drives success. Challenges. So in order to achieve many of these strategic initiatives, not just in mobile, but across all of these interaction channels, there's a lot of issues. Lack of IT resources was the number one thing a little bit over a year ago that were challenging organizations like yourself. Quality of data, all right, blank spots, stale information, incorrect data, Dealing with this on a consistent basis gives us an imperfect platform upon which to make decisions to drive data-driven marketing. So again, I come back to that notion of having a data strategy. And again, if I went to most of your websites today, I'm going to find that most all of you in this room are not capturing the data that's available to use down the road in driving marketing decisions, mobile, web, whatever it may be. What are the benefits that people perceive that they would get? Well, we're going to understand the visitor's journey, the customer's journey through our website. Well, I hope that translates into ROI and being able to drive those visitors into becoming customers and becoming repeat customers. Because the next priority here, the benefit-wise, was to look at improved retention. So these are the types of things that organizations are looking at. So here's a big question for all of you. Who owns the data around which we make marketing decisions? Is it marketing or is it IT in your organization? Well, here a lot of organizations said, well, it needs to be marketing. But I'll bet you there would be arguments in many of your organizations, your IT organizations, say, no, that's ours. We have to get our DBAs, our big business intelligence organizations to work on this stuff. Well, tools are changing, all right? The market's changing. We have things available to us now so that we can actually drive data-driven decisions, no matter what the channel is. So if we go out and look at the mobile environment with apps, with mobile web, with the PC web, and we look at the digital technologies that are being utilized to drive all of this, whether it is retargeting, whether it is content personalization, or whether it is ad serving. It's all based around digital technologies. Those digital technologies are based on JavaScript, for the most part, except when we're in the app space itself. And that's a whole different world. But what we see is everyone is sending information out to the ecosystem that they use, whether they use 2 or 3 digital marketing technologies, and I'll include in that analytics, or social, or banner ad campaigns, or whatever it may be. But again, what are we doing to collect that data? So what we're doing is we're creating a fragmented view of who our customer is, of who our visitor is, and we can't make good decisions on just fragmented information. We need to be able to make decisions on more holistic information so that we can do a much better job. So when we look at that, traditionally, organizations are going out and doing everything they can to bring data back together. They're going to their server logs. I'm sorry, this is a technical world. They're pulling data off of server logs. They're going out to partners. They're trying to bring data back so that they can put it into their data warehouse, some kind of database. They can segment it, and then they can make decisions on it. It takes time. Folks, the world's changing. We don't have time because our attention span is about that of a frog when it comes to advertising. We're in the moment. We need to make decisions and drive our visitors to make those decisions right now. We can't wait 24 to 48 hours, which is the typical time that it takes to go through this process. So, looking just very recently at a study that we did with e-consultancy, this is just in the last couple of months, we asked some different questions, but were related. So, the fragmented state of data. Tell us about your ability to turn data into useful action. Because action is what it's all about, conversion, ROI. Well, if we were going to school and we were being graded, if we got a 4.6 out of a 10 scale, we're failing. We're not doing a good job. So most organizations are saying we're not doing a good job at using the data that we have available to us. And then here, what are some of the challenges? This is now very current information that organizations are facing. Again, that notion of fragmented data. I don't have the information necessary because maybe I haven't thought about the data I need to be capturing from my mobile apps, from my mobile web, from my PC web, because I may have a different digital ecosystem in each one of those to effectively drive marketing. All right? So these are some of the challenges, the blind spot issues in stale data, because when you send data out to your digital marketing vendors, whomever they may be, or your analytics vendors, keep this in mind. No one is collecting all of the data. We have a number of microsets or subsets of data that's being captured. And each one of them are making decisions and advising you on things you need to do based on subsets of information. So again, stepping out of the rainforest, getting up on the mountain and looking down, what is the forest looking like? What do we need to do holistically? All right? Again, we can keep going through this. You know, how many different tools are different organizations using? Well, this is in that digital ecosystem. Some organizations only use Google Analytics. That's the only insight that they have into what their customers are doing. KPIs, dashboards, and reports from Google's perspective. Some organizations use as many. I was with an organization in Singapore day before yesterday that was using 70 different digital marketing technologies within their ecosystem, loading on their web page every time a visitor came to visit their web. 70. Okay? So the world that we have today, back when web analytics began, we didn't have JavaScript pixel tags. This is what's driving most of these technologies today. All right, when real-time web analytics came along, this is when this was invented, this type of technology. And from there today, we now have a plethora of different technologies that are now available to deploy in the web, the mobile web, and the application, the app space itself, across all these different platforms. And we know different platforms have different response levels and engagement levels. Mobile still is a very low conversion level, but tablets have a much higher level, close to what our PCs or our laptops do. So these things need to come into play. And today, with nearly 2,000 technologies available to us, we have a lot to choose. But this gets back to a point the panel was talking about. The ability to somehow embrace and test and experiment and see what works with our particular constituency, our group of visitors, is so important. Most of you are not willing to do that. You're scared to death to take a chance. And in Southeast Asia, that is predominantly the model. Marketing organizations are afraid to make a mistake. I challenge you, don't be afraid to take a chance. Take part of your budget and experiment with it. Take 10% and experiment, iterate, learn. If you don't, you're going to be stuck in that, under the canopy in the rainforest, and you're not going to see what could work better with your crowd. Now, when we think about the adoption of technology, this is what's all of a sudden happening. If none of you have ever used the Ghostry application, if you don't know about Evidon, it will show you the different types of technologies that are being used on websites. Here's a panel of 15 million different browsers that give us insight into the incredible, immediate, here in the past few months, growth of digital technology. It's a hockey stick. We're exploding in the use because some organizations are taking the opportunity to experiment and learn what works best. The message here is that multinational corporations, large corporations in Vietnam, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, in China, are experimenting. Some of them may be your competitors. And those that do embrace the new way of doing these things are going to eat your lunch. So what I'm being is contrarian. I'm saying don't just be pacifist and sit back. Be bold, get out of the mold, and take a chance, if you will. Now this is, how many of you have seen this slide before? Very few of you, okay? Some of you I've shown this slide to before. All right, so this is a representation from Luma of the digital marketing ecosystem. This only shows the categories and the top leading vendors in each category, not the near 2,000 digital marketing technologies that are out there. How many of you are even aware of the categories, much less the top vendors, or what might work best for your particular environment? I challenge you to educate yourself on all of this. So we can keep going and talk about fragmentation issues all day long because they exist. The problems that existed a little over a year ago continue to exist today. And I'm not going to go through and read all these slides to you. I will make this available to anyone that would like it. through the conference. I appreciate being here today in Vietnam to present this. There's a lot of rich information here, and I will bet you that it really does relate to your organization. What this is talking about is, well, do we have an approach, looking at the data that we're collecting and then driving real marketing? Are we tying together the data across our channels and being able to use it? Most organizations aren't. So I challenge you again, do something to do that, all right? Same thing here. How do you rank your different strategic priorities, all right? Well, for most of you who are in marketing and have budgets and are working with agencies, proving what works, the ROI, is critical. So how do you do that? It's through measurement. Well, how do you measure? It's through data. You have to have a good data strategy in order to be able to measure. And if you're complaining about not being able to measure today, it's because you don't have an effective data strategy. So that's a key issue. All right, so this was a question on your long-term success. Does it depend on achieving a single customer view? This is that 360 view of my visitor across my interaction channels, what they're doing, what they look at, what they purchase. 47% absolutely agreed. I'm not sure what the other folks are thinking about, because we've got to understand what our visitors are doing. All right, here's 31% are kind of neutral. How do you be neutral? Come on, guys, get excited about this. It's almost like religion. All right, you've got to understand your data to make good decisions. So what all of this results in is chaos at the data layer. When you have chaos, when you have no strategy, what you wind up is a situation where you cannot effectively manage your digital marketing technologies, whether it's on the mobile platform, the mobile web, or the PC web. And if you can't manage them, well, guess what? You can't properly interact and engage with your visitors. All right? So the world's changing. It's way beyond having an informational or brochure website. We're now about engagement with short attention spans, being in the moment and making things happen. So when we look at this, how are you going through the process of evaluating whether you're using the right digital marketing technologies? Again, if you're not experimenting, if you're not willing to take a chance, I would submit to you that you're not. You're getting satisfied by using Google Analytics or some other basic free technology, but it may not be doing you the best service. Oftentimes you get what you pay for, and sometimes free isn't free. Because if you look at a lot of free tools, the moment you use those tools, you no longer own your data, and you can't get your data back. And remember, this is about data, all right? So that's key, critical in all of these things that we're talking about here. And when we look at engaging across mobile, across the mobile web, mobile apps, mobile web, and the PC web, I'll continue to call it for a while, are we integrating that story? Are we following our visitor around? Or when a visitor uses 6 different devices and 5 different browsers, are they 6 different people or are they 11 different people? Most people would think they're 11 different people because they're not stitching them together. That's the wrong answer. So we have to figure out how to get through all of that. All right, so I'm going to flip down to a use case real quick. A lot of data here. Bringing order to that chaos. So here's an organization that did do that. How many are familiar with Ancestry.com? A few of you. The largest family history website in the world, okay? These guys are great. They know everything now about their visitor. But before they were taking an automated real-time approach, it was taking them 24 to 48 hours to gather data up from different sources, the old way that we used to deal with database technologies, bring it together, and then be able to drive segmented marketing, retargeting, ad serving, whatever it may be, content personalization. When they switched to being able to capture that data with a data strategy driving that, and then in real time drive retargeting, personalization, ad delivery, they really had amazing changes in the ROI and the results of what they were doing. So they were retargeting toward those folks that would come and build a shopping cart. And when they did it the old way, they were getting 5 people out of 100 to actually come back and convert. When they went to real time, in the moment, within context of what that visitor was doing, their retargeting benefit went from capturing 5 people to 60 people. That drove, if you think about this, that drove millions and millions of dollars in profitability to their bottom line. Now, how about for you? If you could do that for your organization, would you not be a hero? That's the key. Whether you were to use Telium or some other vendor solution to make that happen, experiment, take a chance, and I thank you very much. Have a great lunch.
So with that, now we'll break for lunch. But before we do that, I just have a couple of comments. Somebody lost this card. I think it's a room key. Kumo Asiana Plaza 3018. So if somebody's lost it, they can come and take it from me. We'll break for lunch. We'll be back here at 1:40, and we'll like to start on time because we have a big evening ahead of us for the Smarties. We need to turn this room around for a gala dinner, and we need to finish at 5 so that the hotel can turn the room around. The booklet is in your bag. Please do engage with us. If you have any questions for us, any comments, please do give us. All the presentations, as Stephen said, would be available to all the delegates. And we have MMA booth outside, so do please engage with us. We are always keen to have more members join us. So with that, have a great lunch and see you in 1 hour's time. Please be back by 1:40. That's the time on our guides. As I said, we need to finish by 5 o'clock. So I hope you guys enjoyed your lunch. It was fulfilling. Apologies for the slight delay in getting you to your lunch, but we were running a little late and behind schedule. Hopefully we'll not do that in the afternoon session. So we are going to kickstart the afternoon discussions with a panel. After having heard all the speakers and panelists in the morning, really about starting from an overview of the international market landscape with the leading brand talking about what their initiatives are. I would have really appreciated if Tri had mentioned what numbers they are going to spend. But now we are talking about coming to what is the true market potential in Vietnam. We've heard numbers, metrics, with regard to what's the size of the mobile penetration. We've heard numbers on the size of the consumer, the data, and so on and so forth. Now we are going to get into the most sought after number. What is the real market size for advertising in Vietnam? I believe the numbers about $1.2 billion, the total advertising marketing, and digital is anywhere between 5 to 10%, depending on who you speak to. Somebody would say it's less than 5, somebody says it's 10%. So we have an esteemed panel here to help answer that question. An agency, a brand, a media, an ad network, and a research organization. Between the 4 of them, hopefully they can give us a number on what is the true potential, what's the actual market size, and how do we see this grow as we move forward. So the panel is being moderated by Albert Lethau, Managing Director of Ogilvy Wen, and they're going to talk about mobile marketing and advertising, the true market size and its potential, specifically with regard to mobile, but overall in the market with regard to digital. So with that, Alfred, thank you.